Oi, that's not yours. Last week I shared how I was collaborating with my friend, an Emmy winning composer, and it's pretty obvious like who it is now. This week was spent working on the content to share the collaboration, as well as like new music. His name is Steven Spies, really badass name. But I had so much fun. I haven't worked that hard on music in a while. I really wanted to bring my best to the second collaboration piece that we're doing. And you may have heard it on my Instagram story if you follow me on Instagram, which if you don't follow me, please do follow me. I post every once in a while. Yeah, anyways, like this week was just filled with so many great things. One of them being, music and mixing. I also watched some movies that made me really think about my journey as a composer. One of them was Bend It Like Beckham. Like, it's kind of like a random movie. I've never watched it before, but it was so heartwarming and fun to watch. I found the main character super relatable. My family is not as conservative as hers is in the movie, but I did relate to having a family that really cares about you to the point where they plan out your life and all these things that are really conflicting for me. When I actually quit my job to work on my business and, compose and teach full time, I did not tell my parents because I knew that they would tell me, what are you doing? I can't believe blah, blah, blah. Like, are you sure this is really risky? Like, why not just go part-time and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I can relate to having to go behind your parents' backs and to chase your dreams, and it is what it is, but I don't really hear people talk about that, and there's a lot of really talented Asian composers all over the world, and you don't really get to hear about like the struggles behind the scene. If you are not lucky to have parents who support a career in the arts, I'd be like, yeah, mom, I'm doing the medical career thing, and then also be like, yeah, but I'm also doing this thing, composing or whatever. Like, my mom told me growing up, anak, like, daughter, art is for rich people. Like, making art is for when you have enough money to have leisure time to make art however you want. And obviously I don't agree with that now. There's a place in the world for commercial art and entertainment, obviously. But at the time, I didn't know any better, and I just took her word for what I thought it was worth, which was, my mom has a lot more experience than me in the world. Like, what do I know? And the problem with having a family that cares about you so much is that if you don't go outside of that bubble, like you don't know any other perspectives, and you just automatically adopt the beliefs of your family. And I found that to be very detrimental. So when I finally moved to college and I met other creative people and started posting about my work online, that was when I was really surrounded by people who were able to show me like it is possible, and this is what a creative career looks like. You're not broke, you're not starving, you have a business, So anyways, Bend It Like Beckham was such a cute movie. And then obviously I also had one-on-one sessions during the week. I met with Charlie again, and then one of my newer composers, Brant, who is at kind of the beginning of his journey. That was really fun. And then I met one of you guys about potential mentorship, and that was really enjoyable too. And then I spent a lot of time editing the collab video for me and Steven that I posted like yesterday. And I've always seen these videos on YouTube like back like way in the day, the Jacob Collier style videos. And I thought it was really fun to like not have to explain anything about the music and just be like, the main value is the music, and then here's us having fun, like this is what we look like, here's the instruments we use, and here's the thing that we're inspired by. I would love to do more videos like that, so stay tuned for that. And then I kind of procrastinated on this, but I've done presentations for various educators in the composing space. Robbie Tien, I did a presentation twice. I'm working on one for VCU, which is a university on the East Coast, Virginia. And at first I was trying to kind of update the presentations I gave in the past because it's based on the material in my gig hunting kit course. But whenever I form new insights or I think of a new way to like visualize and explain things, I like to come up with diagrams. And my partner, he was trying to help me, and he was confused by the diagram that I made. It was inspired by the cellular respiration cycle, and it's like super nerdy. You guys probably don't know what that is, but you know, like when you eat food and like it gives you energy, it's basically that. So I wanted the cycle to show where work comes from as a composer and how that repeats itself over time. And I came up with a cycle that probably doesn't make any sense. I'm going to keep working on it, but anyways, I had to scrap that idea, and I basically spliced together 2 different presentations, and I'm going to send it to the professor today, just like as a courtesy to be like, hey, here's what the slides look like. But yeah, my first university speaking gig, and I'm getting paid, and I'm really happy, and I want to do more of these because the people that really need support when it comes to getting work, paid work, not assistantships, paid work, you lead composer, is students in music universities. Like, unfortunately, from what I've heard, people don't really walk out of there having a business plan for like how they're going to make an income as a composer. It seems that it's more grooming younger composers for, you know, employee assistant type of work. And unfortunately, that's just like, there's not enough spaces, vacancies for everyone to have an assistantship and learn on the job that way. You kind of have to be an entrepreneur. And I don't want to say unfortunately, I think it's incredibly fulfilling to be an entrepreneur, but it does require you to take responsibility for your life, your business, in a very, very thrilling, but sometimes anxiety-inducing way. I can tell you how many times I've had like low-key panic attacks or just like fits of despair. And yeah, it's not like the coolest thing to talk about, but it is a reality. And I guess I just want to show, I mean, they're not kids, but I want to show them, I want to show the kiddos what it's like out here and give them some help and point them in a direction, you know, at the very least, because the professors, you know, bless their hearts, they are busy doing the things, teaching, and they don't have all the time in the world to be grinding in the industry and sharing the news and information with their class. That's why I'm really trying to build my career in a way where I can do both, and my experience as a composer can have an outlet and be productive in the world and not just be for me. Yeah, speaking of anxiety, I had kind of like a minor, not anxiety attack, but it was just like, I was really nervous with the collaboration with Steven. See, I know I talked about this last time, but after we did Until the End of Time, I was like, great, this is amazing. But in the back of my head, I was like, you know what? Steven really carried this track. And it was like really stupid. I know Steven's gonna tell me like, pull yourself together, Jessica, like that's not how we think and whatever. But I was like, man, I don't want to be a drag on Steven. I don't like when we're, in the future working on a project, I don't want him to be like having too much on his plate. Like I want to make sure that I can, like, it's a team effort, right? So I was thinking, you know what, like one of the things that I've always felt insecure about or like kind of procrastinating on improving my music is mixing and like just overall production in general. I love the composing part. I love coming up with the melodies, the harmonies, and the textures. But then when it comes to like polishing it and really like gluing everything together, I'm just like, nah, that's not the most fun part. I'm just gonna do the bare minimum. But now when I know, this is the quality of Steven's work, and he's done stuff for Netflix and all these things, I'm like, man, I gotta step it up. So I took the new idea that we're working on and I challenged myself to use non-orchestral sounds and incorporate a lot of textures and try to make them sound cohesive and interesting using different effects like panning, delay, lots of reverb, and automating things. And I came up with this like ambient sci-fi thing, and I shared it on my story. You might have heard it, but it was really cool and I was really proud of it. But before I sent it to Steven, I wanted to make sure it didn't sound like poo-poo. So I spent some time mixing it, and I was actually low-key scared that he was going to be like, this is lame, like you need to do this and that. Like, I don't know, I didn't know what to expect, okay? But I know better now, and like Steven's just such an awesome guy. But I actually wrote down like my thoughts when I was like really anxious about it. I think it's in my other journal, but yeah, it kind of felt like turning in an assignment or like an essay and being like, oh, I know this is crap, but like you worked really hard on it and you want to get good feedback. It kind of felt like that. And then Steven's response was obviously positive and like everything's fine. I'm just overreacting and dealing with imposter syndrome. But he said like that the mix was very well done and that he just had a few mixing thoughts. And so we hopped on a call, and in the back of my mind, I was like, oh my gosh, what if he tells me to do something and I don't know how to do it? But then it was literally not that serious. It was just, he was like, oh, this one's a little too loud. Like, let's try turning it down. Or let's do a low pass here and a high pass there. Like literally that's it. There was very, very little else to do other than just fine tune those things. Cause, whenever you work on something by yourself, I think it's really easy to get trapped into one way of looking at it. And so it was so helpful to have him listen to it with me and be like, hey, do you hear that thing? Like, let's turn it down. Oh, I like how you had it. Like, let's put it back. And it's just like, it's so nice. I was like, man, there's nothing to be afraid of. So yeah, I am capable of mixing and stuff. So yeah, I took notes on how I approached this mix so that in the future I can kind of take what I learned and apply it to make my future stuff better. One thing I learned was how to check the music against dialogue. I found that really helpful. Like Steven and I looked up something to play in the background while we had the music going, and he taught me how to turn down certain elements so that they wouldn't like poke through or interfere with dialogue. So there was like a synth and also vocals that we both felt could be turned down to help kind of even out the sound and sit nicely at different levels underneath the dialogue. And we picked like this BBC thing about like the Apollo missions, and it went really, really well because it's a sci-fi ambient track, right? And then Steven ended up adding a couple things that made it feel really like just a smidge more dramatic, which was good. But it could work as like an ambient thing by itself too. Super cool experience, and I learned a lot. Took notes in my field notes. Why do I hold it like that? Jeez. Yep, and that was pretty much my week. Very fulfilling, very busy. If you made it to the end of the video, drop a banana emoji, because me and Yo-Yo, Mr. Yo-Yo, we're about to eat a banana. He loves banana. Yo-Yo, you want? If it's not ripe enough, you won't eat it. And if it's too ripe, you won't eat it either. Okay? He's so picky. Like one time I gave him a really ripe banana, like it had like spots on it and stuff, and he didn't want it. And then I tried to give him like a less ripe banana. It was like still pretty green. Like this one is still really green too, but like just at the top. And he didn't want it either. And I was like, geez, Yo-Yo. He has taste. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. Bye.